Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Meg and I'm a fully qualified yoga teacher. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do spinal waves. This is one of my absolute favorite things to practice and to do. It's really good at helping to build strength throughout the body, but it's also just really good for getting some movement across the spine as well. Before you come in to do your spinal waves, it's important that you feel really confident in two different things. The first one is your down facing dog pose. So if you feel really confused by how to get into your downward facing dog, have a little look at the video that I'll pop above and you can follow along with that, just to break down exactly how to get into it. You can follow this class without feeling confident in a downward facing dog, and you can kind of just stick to the first kind of level of how to do spinal waves, and I'd recommend still practicing it without bringing the downward dog into it. But the other thing which is really important to kind of wrap your head around and to keep practicing is to come into your cat-cow spines. So again, if you feel confused about what cat-cow spines are, I will pop the video up at the top. Go and watch that first, get really familiar with how you come into your cat-cow spines, how they work, and what you need to do with your back and with your spine to get it working properly, and then come back to this video. You don't really need anything to practice this pose or this movement. If you're in a position where you're modifying your downward facing dogs and using blocks, you can use blocks to do your spinal waves. So if you feel like you can't do a down facing dog without blocks, feel free to grab your blocks. But other than that, you don't really need anything. A good grippy mat is always helpful. And when you're ready, we will get started. When you come into your spinal waves, the best thing you can do is to start in your tabletop. Get yourself familiar with your cat-cow spines if you're not already, just refresh your memory. Really quickly, I'll go over it. And then if you need a little bit more, you can go to that video that I'll put at the top. So to come into your tabletop, you want your hands underneath your shoulders, your index or middle finger is facing forward, your knees are underneath your hips, and your feet are behind your knees. You want to make sure that you've got a nice flat back here, so it's not arched either way. Nice and strong flat back. We're going to come into our cat-cow spines with here, and just notice the breath as you move through your cat-cow spines. So we're going to start in our cow spine, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, squeezing the shoulder blades together, gazing forwards, deep breath in. When you need to take your exhale, tuck the tailbone, lift the belly, spread through the shoulder blades and take the chin in towards the chest, exhale. Coming back into your cow spine, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, squeezing the shoulder blades together, inhale up at the top. And then tucking your tailbone, lifting the belly, spreading through the shoulder blades, chin tucks in towards the chest, exhale. Let's do one more. Into your cow spine, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades together, push through the hands, gazing forwards, deep breath in. And then tucking the tailbone, lifting the belly, spreading through the shoulder blades, taking the chin in towards the chest. Exhale. So you'll notice when you come into your cow spine, so your tailbone's lifted, squeezing the shoulder blades together. This is when you take your inhale. And when you come into your cat spine and you tuck the tailbone, spread through the shoulder blades, this is where you take your exhale. So just noticing the breath, and if you're really new to this, just focus on moving with your breath. So your cow spine, inhale, cat spine, exhale. We're then going to move through our cat-cow spines, but seeing if you can start with the lower part of your back and then work your way up through the spine. So starting off in your neutral spine, lift the tailbone alone, then drop the belly, then squeeze the shoulder blades together, push through the hands, gazing forwards into your cow spine. And then keeping everything where it is, tucking the tailbone under first, then lifting your belly, then spreading the shoulder blades, and then taking the chin up into the chest. So instead of this being this movement of just dropping through, we're moving with the lower vertebrae first and working our way up. So lifting, dropping, squeezing, pushing, and then tucking, lifting, spreading, chin into chest. Lift the tailbone, Drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades, push through the hands, gazing forwards. Deep breath in. Tuck the tailbone, lift the belly, spread through the shoulder blades, chin tucks in towards the chest. Exhale. If you feel really confused with moving your different parts of the spine, a couple of drills that you can do to kind of get yourself used to that is to just move one part of your back at a time. So you can use a mirror to do this. I find, especially when I first started doing these, that this really helped to kind of strengthen my mind-body connection by using a mirror and checking what I'm doing. So you're starting off in your tabletop. Keep your upper part of your back completely still, and then lift the tailbone, tuck the tailbone under. So my shoulder blades are not moving here. Literally lifting my tailbone and then tucking it under. So we're just moving the lower part of your spine. Everything else stays completely still. You can then do the same with the upper part of your spine. So imagine that you're pushing your shoulder blades apart and then squeezing them in together. Pushing your shoulder blades apart and squeezing them in together. Notice that I'm not bending into my elbows. I'm keeping a soft bend behind the elbows, but I'm not bending deeply into them. It's just moving through the shoulder blades. Imagine someone's hand is in between your shoulder blades. You're trying to squeeze them with your shoulder blades and then spread them apart from each other, but keeping the lower part of your back completely still. So the difference is if I lift my tailbone here, that's your cow spine. Keeping it neutral, I'm just squeezing my shoulder blades together, pushing up through the chest. If I tuck my tailbone, cat spine. If I keep it neutral, you're just pushing up through the shoulder blades. So those are some really useful techniques to kind of help you work on your mind-body connection and work through just moving the segments of your back. But then once you've kind of got that and you feel like you can move one piece at a time, so starting with the lower part and then lifting up and then lifting and taking it down. Once you feel confident with your cat-cow spines moving with the lower part first, this is when you can start to take this into a proper spinal wave. So we're going to start in a child's pose from here. Keep the knees together or have them sort of hip width apart, so not glued right up together, they're kind of like hip width apart, and then melting over the knees. Your hands are coming out in front, but unlike a traditional child's pose where you're really pushing the hands away, you can have them in like a nice comfortable position. Another way to make sure that you're in the right place is to come up into your tabletop. Knees are underneath your hips, hands are underneath your shoulders, and then take the hips back towards the heels. We're going to move through our cat-cow spines, adding some movement forwards and backwards here. So we're coming up through your cat spine, rounding, tucking the tailbone, spreading through the shoulder blades. When your shoulders get past your wrists, we're then lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, squeezing the shoulder blades together and rolling back. Tuck the tailbone, lift the belly, spread through the shoulder blades as you roll that weight forwards. When your shoulders come past your wrists, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades together and rolling back. So you can keep practicing through this. The only difference here between this and your normal cat-cow spines is that your breath is reversed. So instead of thinking when you're in your cat spine, you exhale. When you're moving with the breath, you inhale cat spine, exhale cow spine. So inhale, tuck the tailbone, lift through the belly, spread through the shoulder blades. Exhale, lift the tailbone, shuffle the weight back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, cat spine, roll forwards. Exhale, cow spine, coming backwards. Keep going on your own breath. So this is like your level 1 of your spinal waves. And if you don't feel confident with coming into a downward facing dog, this is a good way to practice spinal waves without bringing a downward facing dog into it. However, if you're feeling like that was quite easy, and maybe film yourself and watch it back, because when I teach a lot of people in person and they'll often think that their back is doing a wave, but it won't actually be doing a wave. So it might be worth just filming yourself doing it, making sure that it looks the same as mine, rolling up into your cow spine or cat spine and back into your cow spine. So you're rolling forwards and then coming back, making sure that it's creating kind of like that wave and you're moving your back in the segments. Once you feel confident with that, this is when you can add in your down dog from this. So let's come into our downward facing dog. We'll start with our hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Ready to come into your proper downward facing dog. Flexing through the toes, take the hips back towards the heels, lift the knees and lift all the way up to come into your down facing dog. Pushing through the hands, lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling, externally rotating the shoulders. So we're doing exactly the same thing as what we did before. So rolling forward into your cat spine, back into your cow spine. But instead of being on your knees, we're up in our down dog. We're going to take a nice deep bend into the knees here. So even if you need to take a bend into your knees, that's fine. You can always roll forwards with straight legs, bend into the knees, lift the tailbone and roll back with bent legs, especially if you feel like need the space. So you're rolling up onto the toes, tucking the tailbone, spreading through the shoulder blades. When your shoulders come past your wrists, bend into the knees and lift the tailbone and shuffle back. Often you'll find you need to take that bend because when you're up, when you take that bend, your tailbone will automatically tip upwards to shuffle you backwards. So inhale into your cat spine, bend into the knees, lift the tailbone, exhale backwards. Inhale, cat spine, exhale, cow spine. So we're moving through the body, bending into the knees, rolling forwards and rolling back. You'll probably find after around 5 of these spinal waves that you're starting to feel a little bit more tired. Your legs might feel like they've had some movement, arms might feel like they've had some movement. So this is a really good way to warm up before coming into any sort of vinyasa practice or anything like that. So that's kind of your level 2, is doing it with bent legs in a downward facing dog. Level 3 is then keeping your knee or your knees straight or your legs straighter. So there's just a really gentle soft bend behind the knees rather than a deep bend. And this is when your mobility in your spine is really important. So especially into your lower back, if you haven't got great mobility, you're going to really struggle to take the legs from being bent into being straight. It will also depend on hamstring flexibility as well. So maybe you feel like doing it with bent legs felt quite easy, but you're then struggling to take it into straight legs. Best things you can do is to practice your cat-cows, practice the other 2 levels and really get that movement going and understand your lower back lifting when you shuffle back. But also working on hamstring flexibility. I've got loads of hamstring stretch videos that you guys can follow along with. And also, some spine mobility as well. Again, I have quite a few different spine mobility videos as well, so you can have a little look at those. But basically just really focusing on moving through the lower back and then creating hamstring and back of the leg flexibility will really help here. So we're basically doing exactly the same as what we did do, but instead of bending into the legs, we're going to try and keep them straight. And you can always work up to this gently. So you can just start with bent legs and then start to gently straighten them. The more you practice, the easier it gets. The more time you spend in a down dog, the more flexibility you'll gain into your hamstrings. So let's come back up into our down dog. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, flexing through the toes, hips come back towards the heels, lifting up and back into your downward facing dog. So remember, rolling up and forwards into your cat spine, deep bend, lift to come back into your cow spine. So either practicing that or maybe rolling up keeping the legs straight, lift the tailbone and roll back. So you need a little bit more space in your spine to be able to do it, and you need a little bit more space into your hamstrings as well, but rolling up onto the toes, into your cat spine, lift the tailbone, rocking back into your cow spine. And you can take these as deep as you want. So you can really think about rolling forwards, dip the hips right down, and then come back. So you can make these as big or as small as you want. Make sure you don't bend into your elbows when you practice these spinal waves. Bent knees are fine, but bent elbows are not. So imagine you're pushing the floor and the mat away from you. We'll do a couple more. And making sure that these are slowed right down as well, so you're moving with the breath. When you're finished, I like to come into a child's pose. So I take the hips over the heels, maybe rock from side to side. Maybe roll out the wrists. It's always important that you warm up properly through the wrists before you come into your spinal waves, because you're going to be shuffling that weight forwards and backwards through your hands. So it's a really good thing to kind of get into a good routine of like warming up the wrists first and then coming into your spinal waves. So yeah, warming them up so that when you're shuffling that weight forwards and backwards, they feel good with it, but also you're on your wrists for quite a long time when you practice spinal waves. So it's a really good idea to get them nice and warmed up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that this class has helped you build a little bit more confidence and clarity in this pose or this movement. Spinal waves, like I said at the beginning, I absolutely love practicing them. They're one of my all-time favorite things to do. Every time I come into a warm-up of any sort, best believe there's going to be some form of a spinal wave in there. There are different kind of variations that you can go into it as well, but I think I might do like a level 2 spinal wave video and bring that out so that you guys can see other things that you can do once you come into your spinal waves and where else you can go with it. But really important that before you go into any of those, that you feel really confident and comfortable doing your spinal waves. You feel strong through your arms and strong through your legs. So if it is something that you wanted me to bring out sooner, drop me a comment below. Maybe you found this really easy and you want me to bring out like a volume 2 or a part 2 where we bring in a few variations and a few different things that you can do with it. Let me know, but let me know also how you have found learning spinal waves, and yeah, maybe tell me how you've incorporated them into your yoga practice or flows. Spinal waves are really versatile, especially in vinyasa flows, which is partly why I think I love them so much. This class is part of a really big playlist that I'm kind of working through, which is all about like breaking down step-by-steps of different asanas or different postures. So if you have got any different postures that you want me to do like a breakdown or a step-by-step of how to do it, leave me a comment as well below. I really hope you enjoyed today's class, and I look forward to practicing with you all again soon. Thanks. Bye.